Hey guys, Justin here, and in this video I'm going to talk about the 1981 Walt Disney movie, Condorman. So, if you were like me, growing up in the 80s, I was around 5-6 years old around the time when this movie came out, when you would go to the movies and see the poster for Condorman, it was like, yeah, I want to see Condorman. And when you're growing up in an era of genre films that are at a height, an age where there are movies like Raiders of the Lost Ark, Time Bandits, Superman 2, genre movies are what a kid of my age is seeing. When you would go to the movies and see like a movie poster for Condorman, you're like, yes, I want to see the Condorman. But that just also being the fact that my mother would take my brother and I to the movies, and Condorman was a Walt Disney pick and the sort of superhero looking thing. It was just, I just loved it when I saw it as a kid at that time, fully immersed in the world of Star Wars and the Superman movies. So Condorman was just another taste of that. Condorman was just another taste of that. And, to me, Condorman is Disney doing the superhero genre. Whereas Black Hole was Disney doing Star Wars. So Condorman was to Superman that the Black Hole was to Star Wars. And that's just, to me, Disney responding and being, a player in the genre market. Now, neither film did terribly well, but I will not have a bad word spoken about the Black Hole. I like the Black Hole. The Black Hole, that soundtrack, some of the visuals in there, that stupid tin can robot, I cannot remember his name right now. Vincent? Is it Vincent? And that ending, I'm still scratching my head all of these years later, trying to figure what the hell was that ending about. I loved it. It didn't stick to you like Star Wars did, but anyway. And Condorman did not make a lot of money. Just checking on Wiki here, the film did poorly at the box office, and it reportedly lost $9.5 million on the movie. So, look, I was there. I remember being in a cinema and watching that movie and loving it. I came out wanting to be Condorman. Now, one of the other reasons I enjoyed and watching Condorman was because of the presence of Michael Crawford. Michael Crawford, for me, was Frank Spencer. Now, for those who know who Frank Spencer is, you would know that Michael Crawford in the 70s played a bumbling, down on his luck, somewhat uneducated buffoon who was trying to lift himself in life. Was married to a beautiful wife called Betty, and look, what it basically did is showcase the amazing comedic skills of Michael Crawford. And of course, Michael Crawford was incredibly attached to the character of Frank Spencer. Frank Spencer is the complete opposite of Frank Sinatra. He is the uncoolest of them all, whereas Frank is the coolest, baby. Anyhows, if you grew up in England and Australia, you were exposed to the incredible and hilarious. I love, because it was Mr. Bean before Mr. Bean was Frank Spencer. And Frank Spencer was showcasing the incredible physical comedic talents of Michael Crawford. And this is one of the reasons why Michael Crawford tried to shake that character and did so successfully, but because of playing Phantom in Phantom of the Opera. But before Phantom, there was Condorman. So when I went to the movies and Mum nudged me in the shoulder and said, that's Frank Spencer, I was like, yay! But here he was playing a, more confident, but still somewhat buffoonish sort of character, as playing Woodrow Woody Wilkins. I want to say Woodrow Wilson when I say that, so I want to say Woodrow Wilson when I say that. So I guess one of the interesting things to me about Condorman is that basically it's a genre film that pulls upon a lot of other genres. Got the superhero genre, you've got the spy genre. I don't know, there's other genres in there. But anyway, what I've only just recently learned is that this film is based on The Game of X by Robert Sheckley. Now, I was not aware of this. And Robert Sheckley wrote The Game of X around the same time that there were characters like Maxwell Smart and on television and Clouseau, Peter Sell's great Inspector Clouseau on the screen. And that's when Robert Sheckley created Agent X. So, he wrote wrote this book in 1962, and it's basically, a laugh-out-loud take on the spy genre. Agent X is a fabrication of the CIA after an average unemployed expatriate living in Paris is asked to perform a single briefcase exchange on a train to Vienna. And the mission goes wrong, and that's basically what you've got here with the plot of Condorman, yeah? You got the plot of Condorman. Now you got the added element that he is a comic book writer. Unless that appears in the book, that may be the case, I'm not too sure. One of the things I love about this movie is the character of Woody. Because he's eccentric, he's a comic book writer, and he's an illustrator who demands a sense of realism for his comic book hero. He demands that realism to the point where he crafts his own Condorman flying suit and launches himself off the Eiffel Tower. Now, when I was a kid, I would pretend that I would use like sticks or something and pretend I had Condorman wings and like launch myself off, much in the same way you would use like a broomstick as a lightsaber when you were a kid. Now, something I absolutely love about these Condorman movies is the comic books. Guys, I love these Whitman-published comic books. Not only did I enjoy rereading the story of the movie in the comic book, the thing about Condorman is that you wanted a sequel. I mean, it kind of demanded a sequel, but of course the movie's very bad. It was never going to get a sequel, but if you were my age, you're kind of like, I want more Condorman. I want Condorman 2. You couldn't have that, but you could have it in the comic book series. So I really enjoyed those few extra additional issues that took the sort of world that the Condor movies had. Condorman, I feel like saying condom all the time. Condorman movies created, and further it. But I mean, there wasn't too much more really to go with it though. So now, here is also a fascinating fact, which I've only just recently learned, that there was a considerable change in the illustration, the portrayal of the CAI boss Russ. In the comic, he becomes an African American. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe that was originally cast that way and that was changed. Who knows? Maybe back then Whitman comics were being very woke. If anybody knows the answer, I'd love to know why in the comic book sequel series to Condorman there was a change in the appearance of Russ to an African American. But why, therefore, was the portrayal on screen not matched to that, is what I'm asking. There's been lobbying by the editor of The Amazing Spider-Man, Stephen Wacker, to have Condorman brought into the Marvel Universe, which would be great, which would be cool. Now, something else I really love about Condorman is the soundtrack. Man, that Condorman, they have called on Henry Mancini to put this soundtrack together, and it's a beauty, guys. Sometimes I play it when I'm doing the dishes. It really gets you going. Da 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 dun 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 dun. It's got that heroic ba-bum the march to it that you, again, when you were my age, when you're 5 years old, you're like, yeah, hell yeah, I want that. Because what I really like about Condorman is just that mix of genres. You've got obviously the superhero genre up front, okay? Condorman, Batman, Superman, got the suit, got the wings, but I like the color scheme. It's it's not a dark, gloomy color set. I like how it's very practical. He's got a really he's got to carry that suit around, man. This is real world. Condorman reminds me of Watchmen before there was the Watchmen. The whole reason Woody wants realism in his comics is that he lives it to bring a sense of realism to his comics. So to me, it's very cool. It's a bit ahead of its time in that regard, and that it's portraying superheroes as down-to-world, grounded, real-world people in a way. I mean, obviously not fully, but it's leaning in that direction. You've got the spy genre. The odes to Bond in Condorman are throughout, from the beautiful Natalia Rambova, I hope I'm saying that right, Natalia Rambova, the beautiful Barbara Carrera. Knew that as a kid, that you were seeing like a Bond for kids. Also, if you were maybe a family but didn't ever let your kids see movies like this, like genre films, then Condorman from Disney was maybe a safe bet. To me, even the whole addition of the technicality of the Condorman wings kind of brings to me a science fiction element to it. The action, the adventure, it's all just kind of rolled up into one fun comic book movie. So kudos to Disney for doing this in that era. And to me, Condorman and the Black Hole, to me, they're a pair. You know, they're a package. You could sell that to me as a 2-pack DVD set and I'll buy it. Yes, it was panned by critics when it first came out, fair enough. But, you know, it has since gathered a cult following. I don't know if any toys were made for it. I would love to know if anyone knows of any actual toys. The fact, too, that you had so many people who had worked in those other big popular franchises. Apparently, the same people who put a lot of the stunt sequences together in the Bond films of that time came in and worked on Condorman. A lot of the people who worked on effects for Superman worked on Condorman. So you've got a lot of those key producers of effects of the time contributing to the look of the film. Now, obviously, the film suffers from some terribly bad special effects, and of course, when you were my age, you wouldn't have cared about that. And obviously, if you were to look at it today, you can see those like harness cables in the flying sequences and things like that. It's part of its charm. It's part of the era in which it was created, and you know, I cannot find this movie anywhere on Disney Plus, guys. So. You know, it's very hard to even find a copy of the movie, but it's fantastic. I just love Condorman. But again, guys, check out those comic books and soundtrack. Definitely my favorite. All right, guys. Well, that does it for me. That's my Condorman sharing of my love for Condorman. If you haven't watched Condorman, go and watch it. It's great fun. It's camp and it's silly. It's of its time, a little ahead of its time, and definitely behind its time today. But yeah, if you could sit through it, catch Condorman.